Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hello to all our regular listeners. Just to quickly apologise for this episode being a little bit delayed, but here it is. Hi, it's Dave here, and this is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. We are walking to How to Train Your Dragon brackets 2025 stash, the live-action remake nobody asked for.
Great title.
And nobody wants. But
you want, though.
But we're getting... No, I don't want this. I'm curious. I think... All right.
You love How to Train Your Dragon.
I love How to Train... Love it. I love these films. We think we covered the third one. I went to see the third one with my friend Kobe. You can scroll back if you want to find that. When was that? Whatever year that was. I love these films. They're full of heart. They're bursting with creativity. They have, honestly, John Powell's score is top 5 of all time. Mm-hmm. And this I've watched the trailer for this. It's the same director of the animated movie. It looks like he's just doing it again, but live action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, and how do I feel about that?
We've seen this summer.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't want this, I don't need this, but that said, I think this could be good.
I think it's going to be good, yeah. I do think it's going to be good. I mean, if it's the original guy, like, I don't have a love for these films like you do, but I've seen the first one and I thought it was very good. I've actually weirdly read the book as well.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, because I do like to see how adaptations work. So after we watched the first movie, I took the book out of the library.
When was
very
that?
Very different, actually. I don't know, whenever the first movie came out. The book is more like a manual of how to train your dragon.
Right, as so advertised.
They added a lot to the book, so it's not even a straight up adaptation. So I'm interested to see it. We're bringing the kids. They're not actually hugely bothered, but like...
They've never seen these movies.
Yeah, so they're happy to see a movie about a dragon, but other than that, not hugely bothered. It's our third family movie, 3 weekends in a row. We need to go see some adult fare after this.
Yeah, well, next week we're bringing the kids to 28 years later. Just to really throw them in the deep end.
It just, I guess, 'tis the season for family movies. It would be hard to top Karate Kid, though, I'll say that.
Yeah, well, we're talking, these are very different flavours of ice cream here.
So anyway, we're going to go see How to Train Your Dragon 2025 live edition, and we'll be back in a minute.
See you soon.
It's okay. I won't hurt you. Maybe they're not as bad as we think they are.
In case you forgot, our parents' war is about to become ours. Figure out which side you're on.
They've killed hundreds of us!
And we've killed thousands of them!
Toothless, no! She's afraid! You all need to see this. I'm not one of them.
Okay, hi, we're back. We've seen How to Train Your Dragon again, and this time it's in live action. If it's your first time at the Cinemile, there won't be any spoilers, of course, until, of course, there is on Spoiler Street.
Why did you just say of course?
Of course. Well, of course there won't be any spoilers, of course. Kathy, of course, tell me.
Spoiler's a spoiler, of course.
How did you like that movie?
I admire the adaptation. I think it's very solid. Love to see Jared Butler back again as the dad. Toothless, very cute. I like the cast. I felt like the central characters of the kids and Hiccup and his band of merry friends.
They're too old.
All too old.
Yeah, way too old.
And I don't actually know what age they are. I haven't even looked them up, but like the girlfriend character has to be old enough because we've seen her in The Last of Us and she's great in that too. So
that's Tandy Newton's daughter, right?
It is, right? So they all felt very old, which is my first criticism. And then my second criticism is somewhere in the magic of the animation and translating that to live action. By the way, I think they've done a very, very solid job. Like, we've seen House of the Dragon. We know how hard it is to make dragons work, because even HBO didn't want to put dragons in that show for a very long time.
The dragon riding in particular
is
difficult, isn't it?
Visually going on to the point of distraction for me with all the dragon stuff, that I felt like I couldn't really get on board with it the way I did in the animation, and like the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless to me wasn't as profound here. And then kind of what surprised me, I guess, was because it doesn't have a particularly long run time. It's about an hour and 45.
No, this one is an hour and 55, and it's 10 minutes longer than
this was... Okay, yeah, it felt very long to me. And at one point, I confess, I did fall asleep. So, and both of our kids, who are 5 and 7, who are avid film watchers, you know, loved Karate Kid last week and Lilo and Stitch the week before that. They were like messing around during this, distracted, repeatedly. The older one, who can articulate himself better, said he found the movie a bit boring. The younger one didn't say he found it boring, he just did everything physically to tell me
his
he
body
found it
language.
boring.
Especially when you fell asleep as well, he would not let you sleep.
He was like, Mommy, when is this movie over? When are we going home? I was like, I don't know, just let me sleep.
Didn't he say something like, he tried to articulate it in a strange way. He was like, why are movies longer when you see them at the cinema?
I know, and I was like, shh.
At full volume.
So I was a bit bored, the kids were a bit bored. I still think it's a very good adaptation, so I'm a little bit torn on it. Like, I don't know that I'd be racing to recommend people bring their kids to it. You know, I'd probably say go to Lilo and Stitch, or if your kids are a bit older, the Karate Kid. I don't know, Dave, what do you think?
I think I agree with you. I think this is a good adaptation. I think this is the best you could hope for with the project that they were given, or that they decided to undertake.
Very decent. I'm not saying it's bad, because it isn't bad.
No, it isn't, and it is difficult. This thankless job of taking this beautiful animated treasure and then like just doing it all again, shooting all the shots, making all the special effects, making the sets. Like, it is a lot of work, and things can get lost in the translation, and I think that is what has happened here. So it is sometimes this movie just hits the same beats. I did feel the same feelings I felt while watching the original How to Train Your Dragon. And I think often it was Hiccup and Toothless. I think the movie comes to life when through the Hiccup and Toothless interactions.
And boy, did it take a while to get there.
Yes, because when the movie starts, I was real worried, because it's a dark nighttime battle scene and it looks like trash.
I don't think it looks like trash.
Honestly,
it
was incomprehensible. It was too dark, and I was like, oh, we're in for a rough ride. And I think part of the problem is we've gone from a very vibrant, colourful, animated world to a very brown, dour, real-life Viking world. So they've had to make some sacrifices to sort of ground this in a real-life setting.
Of which they don't need to do, because it's not a real life.
I know, right? So I think it's very brown. I don't really like how this movie looks, and I think some sacrifices were made then in how the dragons looked. So a lot of the dragons are very over the top and caricaturistic, and there's a very large dragon. There's one with 2 heads, and they're all very different, vibrant colors in the animated thing. And in this one, they're all just kind of brownish or greenish or sort of reddish. Okay. Do you know what I mean? They all have very, like, you're going from bright colours to very muddy pastel colours, and I just don't really like how this film looks, I gotta say. The cast are too old, I totally agree with you. However, they are pretty good. I really struggled with the actor playing Hiccup, I gotta say. I think overall,
I think he's good.
He is good and did a fine job, But
But now I've just Googled him and apparently he's 17.
Oh, he's 17?
I thought he was like 13.
I mean, he looks. All right. The problem
I
with
thought
this,
he was really old.
the problem with this kid, and it's not his fault.
He's a very good actor.
He is a very good
Yeah.
actor. I think he really captured Hiccup very well.
Yeah.
He did the anxiousness. His comic timing is good. So I think great job, whoever you are, actor. I don't have your name to hand, but I think
I mean, he's definitely listening.
give him a shout out there. So Mason Thames. Okay, so he can do this. He's got the chops. He is just not the right person to play Hiccup. Despite the fact he can perform all these things, I just don't think he's got the look. He looks like he's from High School Musical.
He looks like Hiccup from the cartoon, though.
Well,
I'm sure
because they've given him the hair, and he's
Yeah.
kind of doing the awkward thing. But I just think he's too kind of chiseled and good looking, and looks like he's Zac Efron from High School Musical. Which was taking me out. I wanted someone who's and he's tall. I want someone who's small, awkward, dweeby, like Jay Baruchel, who voiced him in real life, could have done that. Do you know what I mean? Except that he's
presumably too old.
35 or whatever. He couldn't do it now.
Yeah.
Again, he did a fantastic job, but it's just not quite right.
He begins the film too hot already. Basically.
Exactly. I'm just like, you're struggling to get the girl. Are you? The jock from every high school movie ever is who you should be playing.
They did they kind of made this repeated joke, which I'm sure is from the original, where people would go, look at this, and they'd look at him and he'd go, you just gestured to all of me.
Yeah.
But he couldn't say the word gestured, so every time he said you just gestured to all of me, it was like inarticulate, and our kids don't even know what the word gestures anyway, and I'm sure most kids don't, so therefore like it never landed. And I think every time it was supposed to be a joke, and never once did it land. I have to say, I felt like, before we get to spoilers, from an overall perspective, I didn't feel the audience was that engaged either. There weren't any particular laughs.
I laughed a few times.
I laughed at
some of the jokes.
breastplate joke.
The breastplate joke landed
Yeah.
really well. I think him and Gerard Butler actually had quite good chemistry. Gerard Butler, by the way, just walked off the drawings into the thing.
It's so good.
He's brilliant. This is a fantastic
and he
role for
voiced
him.
the original, right?
He did, yeah.
So like, he must have been so pleased when they said, do you want to just come back and do this again, but you get to do full Viking cosplay. Like, what a dream for an actor, you know.
Nick Frost is good as well.
There's a good cast, and like all the kids are good, don't get me wrong, and now that I've learned he's 17, I'm way off by saying they're too old. He couldn't be any younger.
I just always thought Hiccup and his friends were maybe 14, 15 tops. Do you know
Maybe
what I
that's
mean?
what they're supposed to be playing. But anyway,
Like,
we're
that's a
getting
bit-
into the
yeah,
weeds
anyway,
now.
go on, yeah.
We will go to spoilers. You might hear a quick ad and we'll be back.
Okay, we're back now. So spoilers now for How to Train Your Dragon.
I truly have nothing else to say about this
I don't
film.
really have much else to say either, except I
Nothing to
actually
spoil.
should also call out I thought the animation of the dragons was incredible, and
really good. Yeah.
We're at a point now where, you know, we're nitpicking things based on story beats or casting. You don't even notice a human interacting with an animated dragon. It's not even an issue anymore. Like, it was much like Lilo and Stitch. Like, him and Toothless just felt like they were on screen together. I never ever felt like he was on a green screen.
No.
He was on a fake bull with a green screen for the dragon scenes. It never felt like he wasn't in the.
And I forgot to
very
say,
tactile.
like, my favourite thing in both the original and in this is that sequence of him helping, because Toothless has damaged his wing, and him doing the animatronic like wing, and them learning to fly together.
Oh, I
It's
love that.
Beautiful.
And when
it
the music
really works
kicks
here.
in, I cried a few times.
In the live action remake.
I did,
Jesus.
but it's for the same. It's just, I think it's maybe because they hit the same. A few times they hit the same feelings and beats.
It's
I think.
echoes of previous emotions.
Exactly.
I think you're feeling now, because the score does a lot of heavy lifting on this film.
It sure
on
does.
this remake. So those sequences are all beautiful, and it truly did feel like they were learning to fly together. And I do think their relationship is like really worked again. You know, I felt like they were with each other.
I think so too, and also I think another thing which can get damaged in a translation or an adaptation is the design of a creature. And I think kudos to whoever's decision was to largely maintain the sort of cartoonish effects of the dragons while transferring that. I think a lot of the color was lost, as I said, but Toothless, they kept his design intact, which can be tricky to translate a cartoon to a real world and still make it feel tactile.
Yeah.
I think they did it through giving him texture. Like a worst case example of this is like the famous one of Sonic the Hedgehog, the first design for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which was released, where they were like, well, he's got two big cartoon eyes that are connected, which wouldn't make sense in the real world, so let's give him two human normal eyes. To which the internet responded, no, kill it.
I think they did it. I imagine this film had a very healthy budget, because they did a great job on that stuff.
I think they really did. So the visual effects are fantastic.
That helps when you have the original creator as well, because he'll have so much love for the obviously for the original designs.
So that's the thing. So I think we're both in agreement. Like, the visual effects are incredible. The cast are very good. They're all doing great work.
Retract previous statements being too old.
Well, I think they still are too old. I would have liked to see a 14 or 15-year-old in this role. But and also, you know, they kind of hit a lot of the same beats. However, it just doesn't. You're still just going to lose something in this exercise.
Of course, yeah.
So it just doesn't.
Like for a
hit.
huge fan of the original like you, I just don't think it could ever land.
No,
But
and
what's interesting to me is that it didn't. The intent of this would have been to engage a new audience, and it certainly didn't engage our kids.
so what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Why are DreamWorks now doing this?
I know.
Like,
It's
what?
like the Disney playbook. Do all the studios have to do it now? And like, I know dragons are cool, but I feel like they could have even made a different story in the How to Train Your Dragon universe. Like, as I mentioned, it is a book series. Okay, we've got the 3 original films, but couldn't they? And I know, by the way, they've made a TV series of it as well. So they've already expanded the universe. But like, we could move beyond Toothless and Hiccup and just have a whole new story where someone training the dragon is at the core of it, and that would have been more interesting to me.
It's just, I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's just like,
I mean, even the next film we're excited to see is 28 Days Later. That is a sequel.
28
Do
years
you know what
later,
I mean?
yeah.
Sorry, 28 years later. Like,
Yeah.
you know, bring us back to the glory day of Sinners 2 months ago when we weren't watching remakes,
I know, right?
remakes, reboots, or sequels. But it is the summer and 'tis the season for all of those things.
I do have a hope that the success of Sinners will, 2 years from now, yield results when the studios, maybe a few studios, take some chances on things.
No.
Hoping.
What they'll do is they'll start making more films in the Deep South. They'll make films about vampires.
Yeah.
Or
They'll
they'll
take
make
all the wrong
Or
lessons.
they'll make Sinners too.
Oh,
They
you're
won't
so
take
right.
the lesson, which is make something completely original.
I know.
Anyway.
Or one studio will make something completely original. They'll market it, and then they'll say this is going to be the new Sinners, and then it will tank because it won't be good, and they'll say can't be done.
Yeah.
Sinners was lightning in a bottle, because everything you take a punt on should work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, come on.
But look, I'll watch any film with Michael B. Jordan playing twins again, that's for sure. Right, thank you for listening. Let us know what you thought about How to Train Your Dragon, the live action remake.
Let us know how you train your dragon.
Come over to us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Letterboxd, all those places. We'd love to hear from you, or email us, thecinema@gmail.com. And most of all, what we would greatly appreciate if you listen to this podcast, if you like this podcast, share it with a friend or leave us a review wherever you listen.
Bye.
Bye.
It's like the size of my...